Going on, everybody, and welcome back to the show. If you're new here, my name is Mitchell. In today's episode, I'll be talking about you cannot date or you can't date without being vulnerable. And so I do these YouTube lives every Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time, Saturdays at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And if you guys do find this video content of value, you guys can show your appreciation by donating any amount that you feel is equal to the value of this video. Details will be in the description. And so I'll be talking about a recap today, which is on overcoming insecurities. And I'll be starting out with a quote, and now I have a few slides I'll be talking about. So let's start out with the recap, overcoming insecurities. And I love this quote. What's up, Tracy? What's up? What's up, Chevlin? Don't forget to like. Thank you, Chef. So it's the same quote. I really enjoy this quote. And the reason why I like to stick with quotes for a long time is because I like to let it sink into my mind, right? Because it's very easy to talk about one quote and then just move on to the next and then move on to the next and then not really hold in that quote what is meaningful to you. You know what I mean? And this quote is very meaningful. So let's start out with this. So this one's with Fyodor Dostoevsky. So, a man who lies to himself and believes his own lies becomes unable to recognize truth either in himself or in anyone else, and he ends up losing respect for himself and for others. When he has no respect for anyone, he can no longer love, and in him he yields to impulses, indulge in the lowest form of pleasure, and behaves in an animal in the end like animal in satisfying his vices. And it all comes from lying to others and to yourself. And so the reason why I love that quote is because it talks about being open, right? Being open up to yourself and being true to yourself. So can you be vulnerable to yourself? And what does vulnerability even mean? And I started doing a little bit more research yesterday, so I actually started writing stuff down. So I have this over here. um I'm not a complete expert on this, but it gives you a general idea, right? I'm just a student too as well. But to move on with this quote, it really kind of deepens the value of how much do you value yourself, right? Like how much time have you really spent listening to yourself? Like you probably know more about your car, you probably know more about somebody else than you do know yourself. And how much do you know about yourself? And it really boils down to that, because if you really don't know yourself, if someone asks you what do you want in a person, you're like, well, they have to look like this and they gotta look like that, they gotta be nice, and those are great values, but it's like, let's get a little bit deeper into that. Like, what do you value? Well, I don't really care as long as they're hot. I was like, okay, there should be more to that. Like, well, they gotta treat your parents well. Okay, so you want a nice person. You know what I mean? It's like it could keep you got to get deeper into it. You got to follow your trail wise, right? Brittany, you said if you value yourself more than people will do the same. Exactly, right? That's beautiful. And you have to value yourself. But it's not just valuing yourself, you have to put in the work and the effort so that you become a better person yourself, right? Because you are what you attract. So if you're a piece of shit, you probably attract a lot of shit people in your life. You know what I mean? Yes, code. So, for example, overcoming insecurities, right? Take each goal that you have and celebrate it. All the goals that you achieved, and celebrate it. And you know what? Start to think about, well, how can I improve next time? How can I improve? How can I improve? And so yesterday was interesting because I was talking to a friend afterwards, and she was mentioning to me about how she didn't like how the relationship that she had just suddenly ended. And I was like, okay, it ended and it wasn't on your terms. It was a unilateral decision. He decided that I don't want to be with you anymore and I no longer want to talk to you. And because of that, it caused her to feel some type of way. But then I had to take a step back and pull her back too. And I was like, hey, look, if this person really meant what he said, what can you take away from this, and how can you learn from this? Right? That's a very important question. How can you learn from this? And she was like, well, maybe I would learn to like um tell that person that maybe you should talk to me like this. I was like, see, but here's the thing, you're still trying to, it's still about you. So it's not about that person, it's still about you, right? So it's about how you feel about how you feel about that person. But I'm talking about self-reliance. You can't change the other person. Yeah, but if he says this, then I will feel better. Yeah, but that's still about them. So if you ever notice, when you keep thinking about the other person and how they can make you feel a little bit better, happiness will never really be on your side. You will always get disappointed one way or another, right? So it's about learning how to control the controllable. So how do you control yourself? And so I was like, I had to keep talking about the same thing over and over, right? And so I was like, so, but really, what can you do for yourself? Well, okay, I think I understand the question now, Mitchell. Took a while, but it's okay. You know, we're all learning, right? So I was like, so where do you think you can improve on, right? You can't change who that person is. You no longer talk to that person or whatever. It's 2 years down the line. what what are some of the things that you can do right now that you could improve on, so that you could carry that to the next relationship? Or that's just your character, you're just a better person. What can you do? She thought about it, gave her some time, and she said, well, maybe it's my tone. Maybe I could come across as bitchy sometimes. And I was like, okay, so you don't want to be that nagging girlfriend the moment he walks through the door, right? Because who wants that? I wouldn't be happy if I was a dude walking in. Hey, babe. Hey, yo, you forgot to do the dishes again. Hi. It's good seeing you. You know, I missed you all day, and this is what I get. All right, cool. I'm not going to be as engaged, right? So it's like taking a step back so that you could figure things out. Maybe it's your tone. Maybe it's your vocabulary. Something. You know, there's things that you could clean up, right? So there's always an area of your life that you can improve on, right? There's always. So think about, how can I make it better next time? Okay? And where's your focus? Is your focus on you being hurt? Because you will always, if your focus is always about me being hurt, you will always suffer. Suffering is a choice. You could choose to be you, but pain is inevitable. Like, you're going to get pain, right? But suffering, it starts from the mind. It starts from the thought, right? Oh, this person was like this and this person was like that. So then most of the time people start projecting onto the other person, like, oh, they were so good. But I was like, you got to look at that character. Stop looking at how much feeling you have. Like, so stop like, why are you overvaluing your chemistry with that person, how this person is? Oh, this is such a nice person, but you're undervaluing so much of their character. I was like, the person's character, it doesn't seem like it's a good, I'm not saying there's a bad person, but are there certain things in this case where, is he really showing you? I was like, you got to bottom line the actions. Is that person really showing you good things? Is this person showing you, I can communicate, I value loyalty, and is this what you want? Is that what they want? Because if you guys don't align in that, it's you're going to have a lot of friction in your relationship. And how I see relationships, I want easy and effortless relationships. Brittany, what I would want is to start the relationship with everything on the table and see what we don't like, deal with and won't, well, before I start dating. If it don't work, then walk away. Absolutely. So you're setting and enforcing those boundaries, and that's necessary. So anytime right before you get into a relationship, like, look, let's just say you're a poor communicator, right? But you're trying. Okay, do I see you try? Am I seeing you try? But we're not exclusive yet. But then if I were to ask you, hey, look, I know you like me. You want to be exclusive, but there are a few things I want to discuss about before moving forward, right? And this is where I need to talk about my boundaries. Not just because how I feel and I want to be with you because of whatever reasons, but I need to understand that, hey, there are there are certain things that I need to talk about before getting into it because this is very important, right? So, what do you like? I value communication. I don't want another person that stonewalls me or just I don't want to talk about it, right? It's like, no, we should. It doesn't mean we never talk about it. It doesn't mean that we have to talk about it right there and then, but it also means that eventually you have to communicate. But I'm talking about sooner than later, okay? It means that maybe as a heat at the moment, we can't talk about it right now. You go out, you get some fresh air, maybe in a couple days, then come back. Come back to it, okay? And then we could talk about it. That way we can have a good relationship. So I value communication and I value commitment. Are you committed? If you're not committed, I don't want this wishy-washy kind of like I want to be with you, I kind of don't. If you want that and that's what you want, that's fine. I'm not going to try to change you. Maybe we just be friends with benefits. Maybe being in a relationship isn't the right choice for us because and basically you're like, I don't want to waste my time and nor do I want to waste your time. So can we agree on something, right? And yes, I do agree. I do understand that there are some people out there that's like, no, like I only like this type of person, right? Shallow as it is, that's what they want, that's what they like. I can't be mad at them because they're saying that this is what they want before getting to that, oh, let's be exclusive point, right? Because they're letting them know. I'm letting you know that this is what I want, right? It might be like, wow, this person sounds like he's a piece of shit. He's only looking for like girls that looks a certain way, right? But it's what they want. What can you do? So I've heard some men say that they feel women should tell them how to love us. I don't feel that's so easy to communicate. And the reason why is because lady, I'm glad you asked that. Said that because men and women communicate differently. Women communicate through emotions and how they feel, okay? So if you haven't noticed, okay, women express how they feel. It's not a straight line. It kind of curves a little bit. It goes like this. It's like and then for guys it's like it's very, you ever notice we're straight to the point. This is what we want. This is what I want. I'm interested in you. I want to take you out on a date because I like you, right? Girls, you will be playing with your hair, I'm scratching, I'm grooming, I'm putting on lipsticks, I'm doing all these things. Can you pick up the sign, right? It's because you're showing your emotion through, I'm interested in you because I'm putting a lot of effort into getting my nails done, getting my hair done, smelling great for you, acting feminine, right? Submissive in some type of way. Like it's very indirect. Now, when a woman does it and when she is too direct, you're afraid that it pushes the guy away. But every now and then, some guys, they can't pick up the cues. We're not always, we don't read minds, right? So sometimes it needs to be told, like, I like red roses. I don't like blue ones, right? Then you got to let us know. But those are just some examples. Shevlin, you say, I learned the hard way. I know how to communicate more, tell what I want, and tell what I really feel inside, but sometimes back to my shell. And so, Shevlin, it sounds like because you go back to your shell, it also reminds me of like you're taking a step back because that person, the only reason why you will go back into your shell is because that person does not open you up mentally, okay? For real, like that person doesn't communicate well. He doesn't listen to you, and that's why you go back into your shell, and it's comfortable staying in there than to open up and then all of a sudden get into another argument. So why would I want to open up again, right? So that's why I always say, like, guys, the best thing that you can do is when your woman is opening up to you, shut the fuck up and listen. Shut the fuck up and listen and ask questions. Really, what happened? Tell me more. Don't leave anything out. I want to know. This is how you feel. And then don't try to fix the problem, right? Women communicate totally different. They solve the problems by talking about it. So by listening, You're in a green, okay? You're in the green. But if you try to fix her problem, you're not gonna get shit done, okay? Not only that, she's gonna be resentful. I didn't ask for your unsolicited advice, okay? I don't know, with me, maybe it's a child trauma that caused my relationship to fail because I am too attached to the person that makes them step back. So it might be you're showing too much, right? Maybe just holding a little bit back, that might be better for you, right? All right, let's move on. But so you can't date without being vulnerable. And let's talk about the first thing, which is opening up may become difficult. It may be difficult, right? Perfect, because it's like we go back into our shells and it's much more comfortable than getting into another altercation, than to get into another confrontation. Like, I wanted to tell you something, but all of a sudden you just get mad. You just get mad and you be like, fuck it, don't talk to me, right? It's like, well, how are we supposed to have a decent conversation if every single time I'm trying to just talk to you, you just yell? And I know people like that, okay? And they're great at getting certain things done, but when it comes to having empathy, they suck, okay? So opening up may be difficult, because opening up means that they're potentially going to think differently about us, reject us, or worst of all, use it against us, right? And that's what vulnerability is. It's when you're opening up, it's emotional risk. It's emotional risk. But it's about risking that chance of getting hurt. Now, you still don't be naive about it. You still got to pick and choose who you're going to be vulnerable with. But be careful, right? And if you do, like, let's just say you opened up to 5 to 10 people and you chose the wrong person every single time, and you go across the board, it's no wonder you're going to be like, I never want to open up again, because every single time I did it, it always backfired. Of course, you're conditioned to not open up. Okay. I don't like arguing. I have to walk away until we're calm and talk about it. Absolutely. To get both sides of our point across, and we don't say anything we can't and we don't say nothing we can't take back, right? So that's great, because most people can't do that. So that's why I still go back to what I say earlier. Men who understands women, they don't argue with them. You have disagreements. I don't agree with that, but I can appreciate your opinion. I don't agree with it, but that's your opinion. That's fine. All right? Don't argue. Don't argue. Arguing does not get you anywhere, okay? Because women are emotional creatures. So when guys argue, you're not gonna argue your way into her pants, okay? That's not what happens, okay? I'm pretty sure you didn't approach her the first time you met her with an argument, and then she was like, "Oh my God, I love you." Maybe it was like a playful banter. It was a disagreement, but you guys weren't arguing, right? So if you did what you did in the beginning of the relationship, there wouldn't be an end. Anyways, moving on. Opening up may be difficult, but it isn't about you getting hurt that you should be focusing on. I said this before. It's about knowing that there will be a point where you will get hurt, and having the ability to trust in yourself that you will be okay no matter what, to bounce back, to be resilient, right? So it's like, hey, learn from your past mistakes. Learn from that. So if you open up to like 3 guys and they have these similar traits, similar values, that is like, okay, I've been opening up to people that are insecure. Of course they're gonna always yell at us. They're insecure themselves. So when you let them know about something that you don't like, they start yelling at you. It's because they're most likely they're insecure, because they're not getting what they want, or they don't like what they want, what you have to say, because it affects their ego or something. And then they're just gonna be like, no, I'm not gonna, no, this is fucking stupid, you're a bitch, right? Like it keeps, and it would never end. It's like, well, you just been opening up to the wrong people the whole time, right? Like, but that's your type. Well, then unless you want that type, then I suggest that you start educating yourself and start learning about who you are and what you want, right? Most people know about the cars, or they, they start like planning things about how many seats, how many doors, what's the horsepower and all this about a car, but they can't plan their own life. They can't plan what they want in a person because they don't even know themselves. Right? So, going back to getting hurt, it's not about focusing on getting hurt, because you're gonna have some pain in a relationship, okay? That's what fosters a better relationship, a more stronger relationship, right? But it's knowing that you'll be okay bouncing back up from it. But you also want a partner that's willing to understand you and listen to you, because that's really important. So that's why, like, in a relationship, you need a masculine energy and you need feminine energy. And masculine and feminine does not have genders, okay? I'm just talking about if you're in a relationship, so it doesn't matter what type of relationship you're in. It needs to be a masculine and it needs to be a feminine energy. And that's how you guys have that sexual polarity. That's the only way. Otherwise, if you have two feminine women, you have a roommate, okay? Or you have two masculine ones, you have another roommate, because you guys would be butting heads nonstop. Oh, this person can't lead. You were supposed to be the leader. You were once a leader and now you're not, right? You wouldn't be. So that's why I was like, if you know your role, okay, people don't like to hear that, but you have to know your role. I'm a guy. I am a masculine person, so I choose to be more masculine, and I have to stay in that lane. But it doesn't mean I have zero feminine energy. That little ounce of feminine energy is to smooth out the rough edges that I have, so that I can have understanding, I can have empathy, I can learn, I can understand that other person. You can also switch in a relationship. But see, switching, so Brittany, I would encourage you not to. And the reason why I say that is because when you keep vacillating between masculine and feminine too much, it causes the other person to not know. Be like, well, okay, so let's just say this. Use me as an example, right? If I'm a masculine guy and I just got at you, you loved me, I loved you, we had great whatever, right? Then this is what happens. Then I'm in this relationship. We're exclusive now, okay? I get complacent. I get a little comfortable. I stop courting and dating you. I don't really listen to you, and now we're arguing, right? That sounds like a recipe for disaster already, right? But anyways, let's continue on. I was once this masculine guy, okay? Now I'm vacillating between feminine, masculine, right? It's gonna cause that woman in that relationship to feel like, to take a step back and be like, okay, I don't know who's this guy anymore. Like, one minute he acts like a man, but the next minute he acts more like a bitch in a relationship. And I need a man to be grounded into this relationship, to make me the feminine woman, to be certainty is needed in feminine energy, right? Feminine energy is about opening up to receive love, to dating labels, relationship. What are we? Who are we? Right? That's feminine energy. Now, when a guy starts chasing a girl because he's a little insecure, it's like, oh, she's running away. I don't know. Like, hey, what are we? Hey, we call that the illusion of action, where the guy now feels like he has to do something to get her back. He's now more focused onto relationship now, which is the feminine energy's role. It's gonna cause her to pull away, and the more she pulls away, the more I chase, and it ends up what? Y'all break up. But it's because he stopped acting masculine. So that's why I always talk about how relationship breakups are initiated by the woman, okay, in heterosexual relationships, feminine energy. It's initiated 70 to 75% of the time by women, okay? That's the statistics. So if you based off the statistics, what usually happens, majority of the men chase the woman out of them. They chase them out. So when a woman says, I want to break up, I see it as, okay, she needs a little bit of time. She wants to go away, which is fine. Because I know for damn fucking sure, 90%, unless she finds another guy that is better than me, chances are she needs a little bit time on her own for whatever reasons, okay? Maybe I did something, but whatever. She needs time. She's like a cat, okay? I'll come and go. I'll let you know. And when it does happen, I'm just gonna be chilling. But I'm also gonna stand my ground. Like, hey, this is not what I want. This is not what I agreed on. So hey, if you don't want to be with me, that's fine. That's fine. All right. And so, what usually happens 90 to 95% of the time, they will come back. Okay. So, we call that not a relationship breakup. We call that a relationship refresh or restart. Okay. So, when she breaks up with you, like, I get guys coming and asking me, like, oh, she broke up with me. I don't know what to do. I'm scared. I'm like, see, you're acting more like the bitch in a relationship right now because that's the reason why. And you keep acting like this, I'm going to guarantee you she's going to find somebody else. And so that's why you don't want to vacillate between masculine and feminine. It doesn't mean that you can't have any empathy, right? As a guy, you have to have the empathy and understand and listen to her and open her up mentally and physically. You know what I mean? But it's really important to understand that. So it's knowing your role in that relationship. But there's, like I said, it doesn't have a gender. Let's see. So thank you, lady. Yeah, you have to set boundaries, and if they keep crossing that boundary and they could get away with it, so a woman can't love a man she can't respect, okay? And she needs to know that you will be able to walk away and never look back. And this is not coming from a manipulative way, but it's more like, look, I'm not gonna take your shit, but I'm also not gonna lose my shit over you not wanting to be with me because I know what I bring to the table. I know my own values, but if you don't want that, that's no longer a relationship anymore. It takes two, right? So yeah, as cliche as it sounds, it takes two. So let's see. Thanks, Jackie Chev. I wish my best friend take it. All right, let's move on though. So moving on to that same slide that I got sidetracked to live or not. All right. So opening up, being vulnerable is difficult, but most people nowadays, they have a lot of what we call bridging, quote unquote safety nets, which is, hey, you know what, I'll just line up the next person because, hey, if I get hurt and this thing doesn't work out, I say I have a next piece on the side. Like, I just move on. I just keep moving, right? Glorified masturbation. Okay. Coach Corey Wayne, thank you for sharing that. Anyways, it's like, it's glorified masturbation. You're not gonna really have a meaningful relationship with anybody because you never worked towards that, because you never looked from within. It starts from here, right? Happiness starts from here, because if you're not happy and you're always seeking out happiness from other people, you will always find. And then we lived in this world where it's so consuming. Like, we need to buy things to be happy. It's like, no, start looking here. You don't need a lot of money to be happy if you know who you are and what you want. Then when you do have money and you know what you want to do, then you start doing things that make you happy. It might not cost a lot. It may or may not, but you already know what makes you happy, what fulfills you. Okay, but people put up this front now. They put up this fake front. So that's why authenticity and being genuine is lost. And so the question is, and are you working towards becoming that person you want to be, right? And I would suggest being more emotionally resilient. It doesn't mean you take a beating, but then you still learn relationships, because love and connection is one of our basic human needs. And if you don't have that, and then you have women going this way, men going this way, and they hate each other, but they never want to work with each other. And once they do meet, it's nothing but lust. What else do you have? Are you banking on this dice roll that it will be a good relationship? What's up, Greg? How you doing, man? So yeah, that's like, you got to work on yourself, work on what you want in a relationship, right? Like, you don't go into a test room or to take a test without even like preparing for it. So why would you do that to a relationship? Because everyone else is doing that. That's conformity, right? So you got to know what you want. So being vulnerability in a relationship requires both parties to open up, right? So we always hear the old saying of, like, you know, the lady, oh, he never opens up, he never does this, he never does that. But while it is important to maintain mystery in a relationship, your partner needs to feel you mentally and physically. So For women, for feminine energy, she needs to feel her man, like feel, not just physically, but she needs to feel his strength too, like to know that, look, I don't, I it's a survival thing, right? She needs to know that he's not just going to collapse just because she said something to him that pissed him off or whatever, and he like loses his shit. Okay, that's very important for her, because it's she's testing the guy, because she has a lot more to lose in that relationship. What happens if she's pregnant? You got a kid, he's no longer there. It's gonna take a toll on her. And so biologically it makes a lot of sense, because she has to bear the child. How's she gonna survive? There's a lot of things going on, right? And those are just some examples. So, and you can't have a relationship without trust, but you can't have trust without being vulnerable and understanding each other, you know? So it's about like not testing each other, but like being open to sharing things with that person because you trust them, right? And trust means that you give that person the benefit without the doubt that they say who they say they are, you know? Um Vulnerability in intimate relationships, right? It can take many shapes and many forms, but mentally, physically, and spiritually. Not to mention, she would want to feel safe. Exactly, that's feminine energy. Feminine. So, I did an episode, Brittany. I did an episode about masculine men leads, feminine woman or feminine energy submits. So, to to summarize that, it means that the masculine man, he leads the relationship. It means that he leads to me, means to go first, to take the lead, right? Not control. That's totally different. Okay? But submitting does not mean being a slave or a servant, okay? Submitting means I'm gonna take a step back because I trust my man over there, because he showed me who he was. When shit hits the fan, he takes control of it. But not only does he take control of it, he knows how to control the situation. He doesn't lose his shit, and he gets shit done. And he still comes back to me well-centered, well-grounded, anchored, and he's like, no, I got it done already. Wow. Phone. It's okay, Rosie. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for coming in. But yeah, so that's what masculine and feminine energy is. It's my first live, but I need to go and watch your other videos. Thank you for the conversation. Well, thank you, Brittany. Thank you for stopping by. Yeah, there's plenty of videos, so there's more to come in the future too as well. It's good. You can eat a lot. All right. So, being vulnerable, okay. Ultimately in a relationship, being vulnerable is about opening up without the fear of being judged or criticized. That's what we want when we're opening up. That's what we're hoping for, right? And your thoughts and your beliefs, so whether it's your thoughts, your beliefs, your values, your goals, your ambitions in life, like you're opening up so that you're like, I don't want to be judged by this, I don't want to be criticized by this, but I'm opening up to you because this is me. Most men don't give off that energy. Most men now are painfully feminine. Exactly. And I want a man that, like you said, feels like a man. And I want a protective, clear, dominant, right? Dominant doesn't mean control. Dominant means knowing what you want, going for what you want, not losing his shit, but don't take shit from other people too as well, right? You don't, but nowadays it's so skewed. Everyone's all the men are acting like bitches, and then now women are. There's so many studies. I could keep going on with this, but like it just keeps going and keeps going. Like more and more men, and then now like women rather be single. Yeah, absolutely. Why would you be in a relationship with somebody that makes you more miserable? Being the number one reason why most women nowadays, they will rather be single than be with a man that doesn't listen to her or appreciate her. So what does that mean to you, to us guys? It means that we gotta really sit back and just not bite your lips, but learn to control that tongue a little bit so that you don't just try to fix shit. Listen to her. All right. Sorry a lot. You say sorry a lot, but I'm working on it. That's great. You're aware. So, yeah, work on that. Work on that. Right? Most people rather be single. And that's just the reality nowadays, because it's better than being with somebody that's not going to appreciate who I am. Right? But yeah, you understand, like, this is even hard for me, and I'm the one learning and studying and then like applying it too, and then like kind of sharing this back to you guys as well. It's like it's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of consistency and a lot of self education. And if you're like, if that's not what you want to be, then it's gonna be difficult to be in a relationship, right? So every single time you get in a relationship, it's like dice roll, dice roll. Like, what number am I gonna get? Am I gonna get what I want, right? But being vulnerable means accepting that you can't control what will happen, but that you stay and act or speak in a way that is authentic to you. That's what's being vulnerable is, okay? Knowing that you can't control it, but you still act and speak in a way that's authentic. You see, like, authenticity, that's why it's so fucking important. Like, I can't stress that enough. But it's difficult because we're fear of being judged, right? It means being able to turn to the person that you love and care about how you feel when moments in life feel like it's low in your life, right? Sharing how you feel about the situation. Maybe you don't have the best body or whatever, right? But you still love and encourage them for being who they are. So never try to change anybody. I would never try to change anybody that I'm with. Okay? Now, if it's something that I don't like, I will let them know, and it's their choice, right? You get that? It's under their own free will. Hey, you were once working out. Now you just sit at home, eat pizzas all day, and you smoke cigarettes. That goes against what I want. That's not what I like. And I'm letting you know, I'm giving you a chance. The benefit benefit without the doubt. Like, I'm just giving you that chance. That's not what I signed up for. It's not what I signed up for. So please don't make me have to go this direction. You know what I mean? Yeah, so you can't force anybody to change, or you can't force somebody to be vulnerable, and you must have them be who they are and as they are, and let them naturally be who they are. And if they decide that they want to open up, right, make sure that you avoid criticism. So the worst thing, like I said, the worst thing that you can do to somebody is when they're doing something nice to you, you criticize them. Worst fucking shit you could do. Hey, I made you something. Oh, you didn't put enough salt. Well, make your own fucking food then. All right. Especially if they're like all excited about it, right? Yeah, because you get people like that. I see there's a lot of chat in here. But I'm gonna continue on with this, all right? Dating now requires a lot of courage, right? Because it sucks out there, it seems like, right? While it doesn't take much to sleep around, but being open and honest about it is what it's about. Hear me out. I will always give somebody much more respect if they are open and honest about it. Hey, look, I know I'm on this dating app or whatever, right? Or I'm not really looking for a long-term relationship. Maybe you just got out of one or whatever, right? I'm not looking, but I'm looking to have some fun. And if you're down with that, we can have some fun, right? But that's what I want. And hey, they're letting you know, they're being open and honest about it, right? Boom. You already know what they want. They're not looking for anything like specific, right? Please go and look somewhere else. And if you find someone else better, that's fine, right? But let's see. Opening up your soul to someone, letting you into your spirit, thoughts and fears, and hopes and dreams. That's being naked. Best quote by Rob Bell. Okay, I keep that in mind. Thank you for sharing. But knowing your intentions, right? That's super important. And most people, like nowadays, they walk with this guard up. They have this fake ass front that's not who they are. It's like, who I can't relate to you. I can't relate, right? And people could could feel authenticity. They could feel like them being who they are. Um, because most people are afraid of being judged, right? Um, let's talk about honesty and vulnerability. Okay, big difference between. And I find it very interesting because everyone thinks, or most people think, that being honest and being vulnerable are like the same things, but it's not, right? Because being honest is about speaking the truth. Being honest is about speaking the truth. Vulnerability is about speaking openly in a way that you could put yourself at risk of getting disappointed, right? Being let down, judged, or even being hurt. So an example of being honest is like, hey, maybe you're telling someone, hey, yeah, I'm struggling right now. Maybe you're struggling with something, whatever it is. Hey, I'm struggling financially right now. I'm struggling. That's being honest. I can't hang out with you because some of the things that you do. I love to hang out with you. Just right now, I'm struggling financially, so I can't really do all that. That's being honest about it, right? Being vulnerable is telling someone that, hey, your finance right now is taking a toll on your personal life, and you might be losing sleep. You might be snapping back at your partner or whatever, right? And your life is in chaos, and you feel a little guilty or shameful for that, right? Basically, you're being a little bit more specific. You're being more open about why you're. So it's like honesty, but sharing a little bit part of that. So I really, being vulnerable is a superpower, but you really have to choose. Okay, so while it's important and it's noble to be open and honest to everyone, okay, that's the right thing to do. It is not wise to be vulnerable with everyone. Okay, so you really gotta pick and choose. Let me see what y'all say. Mate, Tracy says it's a major issue for me to trust someone when constantly I get cheated on. So unfair for me. I didn't realize until later that guy that had a girlfriend, right? And it's just, you've been picking like people that have like low integrity, right? But it's not your fault that they cheated on you. And it's like, but if you see it as, look, that's not the right person, and you found out, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person, right? There's a difference. So I'll be talking about shame after this too. Lady says people need to be willing to accept the situation they've gotten themselves into. Yep. If the person tells you that they have no intentions of being in a relationship, you have to agree on it. You can't get upset. Exactly. An example of that was, okay, so here's this. Let me see if let me think about this. Let me think about this. Okay. So for example, bringing up the past, right? So if I don't want you to bring up the past, right? And that's part of the thing that I don't want, and I'm letting you know this is what I don't like about you, is because you keep bringing up the past. But I bring up the past, okay? But I bring up the past. So it's a character flaw, right? It's on both ends. I bring up the past. Hey, every single time we do this, you always just kind of get upset, and it's like, I'm just trying to look for a good time. I'm trying to have a good time, but you keep bringing up the past. Well, and then you go, well, I wouldn't bring up the past if you didn't bring up the past, or if you stop making me upset or whatever, right? So it's kind of like pointing fingers again, right? So if you're the third person standing and watching that, you're like, okay, they're focusing on the problem. They're not really trying to find a solution, because it's easy to get caught up in that, right? And so me dissecting it, I'm like, okay, if I'm the guy and I'm telling you this, and this is what I want, and you told me you will not bring up the past, it means you don't bring up the past. And then the better way to approach it is, well, okay, Mitchell, you don't want me to bring up the past, but you're making it, for me, it's getting more and more difficult not to, because you keep bringing it up. You want me to not do it. So how do you expect me not to do it if you keep bringing it yourself? So can we figure it out how we could solve this. So that would be a way better approach than, well, you keep bringing that shit up and you're pointing fingers, right? Never, never regret your past relationships. They're lessons, experiences, teachers. Okay, let's move on though. Let's move on. Let's see. So vulnerability is about speaking and opening up, right? You don't want to share everything to everybody, right? Like it's important. It's very noble to be honest, right? Open to everyone, but you don't want to share your vulnerability to everyone because they will use that against you. And chances are most people don't want to be vulnerable because they've been hurt by those people. And if you get hurt by more and more people consistently, well, guess what? You're going to teach yourself, hey, you know what? Maybe it's best not to open up to anybody anymore. But walls that keep out disappointment keeps out happiness too. So be careful, right? You get to choose your own destiny, and character is destiny. That's why it is important to know who you're sharing the information with. Am I sharing this information with a person that I could trust? And if you trust, it means that you trust in yourself, that you trust them. Okay? So what really ends up happening is you stop trusting in yourself by sharing it to certain people because you've been mistreated, because they took whatever you trusted onto them because you trusted them, and they took it somewhere else and they splatter it all over the news or whatever, or told somebody else about it, right? And in reality, it's about yourself now. It's about you not trusting yourself to open up. So that comes it comes with the insecurity. Like, I don't trust myself to open up to other people now because I've been hurt too many damn times. I've been hurt. So walls that keep out disappointment also keeps out happiness. Okay? So here's some things you want to avoid. Here's some examples, right? Like, you want to avoid sharing information with people that gossips all the damn time. That all they do is gossip, or they talk shit behind people's back. Oh, do you hear this? Do you hear this person? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Chances are, if they're telling you, what makes you think that they're not going to share that somewhere else? Be careful with that, right? Character is destiny. If they're willing to do that, they're going to keep doing that. What I missed? Let's see. Brittany, never. Yep. Okay. Never regret your past relationships. Planning on. Oh, are you traveling? Okay, nice. That'd be dope. That'd be dope. Yeah, let me know if you're here. 7 years and I turn blind eyes, and it hurts a lot because I think I did tolerate it. Yeah, whatever you tolerate, you invite more of it. What you fear, you attract, right? So it's like the example of the rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer, right? Same thing. Whatever you fear, you attract. What you look at kind of disappears. So if you punch face into fear in the face. You punch face into fear. You punch fear in the face, and you go at it. You're going to be in a much better place, right? So you gotta face your fears. It's getting warm. I have one more slide. Let's talk about this, okay? How being vulnerable will improve your life, right? Vulnerability can help facilitate the feeling of being weighed down by fear and shame, okay? But you can't talk about being vulnerable and courage without shame. And I'm gonna go on to this, so I wrote some stuff down. But before I move on to that, let's talk about this. Our vulnerability is a way to foster connections, even when our shame may be telling us that we don't deserve it, right? Shame is about yourself, okay? So I'm going to describe it. So for people that are in here, I highly encourage you guys to stay for this because this was very fucking good, all right? And I can't wait to share it with you guys. But let me finish this and I go over here. Our vulnerability is a way to foster connections, right? Vulnerability helps encourage open communication. It paves the way of a healthier relationship, healthier communication. It helps smooth out the road, getting your points across with less friction, reducing arguments, de-escalating potential arguments, and in return, it helps build a better relationship and maintains the interest in the other person, right? So you're not arguing, You actually have more respect for the other person. It's like, oh, this is what they want, right? But if you don't do any of that, you might get what you want. So you might get attainable success, but you won't get what you need. So it's not something it's sustainable. Love and connection is something that we need, okay? And when we don't have that, our life is not going to feel like it's going anywhere. And so it's going to cause the other person to feel distant. It's not going to make them want to be closer to you because you're not even open and being vulnerable about yourself. Now, I really want to share this because I wrote a lot of stuff down. I have about 10 more minutes. Let me read some of the stuff before I move. Plus getting burned a lot. Yeah, being burned a lot means that if you're being burned by the same things, you might be the common denominator, right? And that sucks hearing that because it means like, fuck, I gotta work on myself now. Yeah, you kind of do. But that's only if that's the life that you want, right? And it's having the courage to believe that, hey, maybe if I do something, my life will be better, right? And I can tell you, I'm living proof, right? Like I had a really shitty part of my life. I wouldn't say my life is shitty, but like there's certain areas of my life that wasn't the greatest, right? No one deserves to be treated a certain way and yada yada yada. But it's like, well, then whatever you tolerate, you invite more of it. So are you inviting more aggression? Are you tolerating that? Are you tolerating other people that's cheating on you, right? Whatever you tolerate, you invite more of. Well, let's see. Brittany says, Brittany say, I ruined a great relationship once because I treated a great guy bad because of a bad relationship. I didn't trust myself to open to it because of your past relationships. So you carried on from your past. You didn't let that go. That's what happened, right? And you know, those are like great lessons in life, right? I know a guy who has two wives cheated on him by his friends. He was very passive aggressive and he's and very feminine in his ways. Wow. Gain strength. Okay. Here, let me talk about this. So everything I wrote in here is from this TED Talk, and you guys could go check her out. Her name is Brene Brown. Thank you, Lily, for telling me about this, because if you haven't, I wouldn't have known it. The TED Talk is called Listen to Shame. And so this is what I penned down, okay? Let's talk about vulnerability. So this is like, I think it's like a 20-minute video, and I just turned it into like a page and a half, all right? So hear me out. Let's talk about vulnerability. Vulnerability is emotional risk, exposure, and uncertainty. Note that this is all from her. This is not from me, but I just wanted to share it because I thought it was great information, all right? So credits to Brene. Vulnerability is our most accurate measurement of courage, okay? To be seen, to be honest, and it's the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change, okay? So it's a birthplace. That's where it starts, okay? Innovation, creativity, and change in your life. So if you want to change your life, you have to learn to be vulnerable. Maybe even be like opening up to understanding yourself. You might not need to share it to everybody, but you have to do it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to understand who you are, right? Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate you too. Thank you for being here. And you're helping me a lot by listening, by becoming a better person because of this. And to me, that's what I want. So thank you. But let's move on with this, right? To find the understanding of to find an understanding and the relationship between vulnerability and courage is that we have to talk about shame. Okay, shame drives two big takes, which is number one, I'm never good enough, and if you could get past that, who the hell do you think you are, right? I'm not good enough. Oh, I am. And once you try to have a little bit of a courage, who do you think you are? Okay, so let's talk about shame and how shame is very different from guilt. It's not the same. Shame and guilt is not the same. Shame is focused on yourself. Guilt is on your behavior. Okay, so let me explain that. Shame is, I am a bad person. I'm a bad person. I'm just a bad person. Guilt is, I did something bad. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. You just did something bad. Maybe you stole something from someone or somewhere or whatever, right? You did something bad, right? But shame is I am bad. I'm a bad person. And if you did something bad, or say for example, if you did something that was hurtful to me, and you're willing to say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. That's guilt, right? But shame is highly correlated with it, with addiction, depression, violence, aggression, bullying, suicide, eating disorders, and many other things. But guilt is inversely correlated with those, right? Because guilt, let's just say you did something wrong, like damn, I stole something, I feel bad, or like I stole something from this person and I feel bad about it, like I don't want to do it, right? Like that's guilt. That's inversely correlated. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. So in you're having self-reflection. You'll be like, damn, that doesn't feel right, right? And what that is it's cognitive dissonance. It's your mind telling you, hey, you know what, this is uncomfortable tension between my mind and what I did. My action did not mirror how I feel inside. So that's why you have this cognitive dissonance. That's where this guilt is coming from, right? So, and if you continue to do that more and more, you let your standards slip a little bit, that's your character slipping away. And you should always protect who you are, your character, your name, for yourself, because it only takes that one time to break that, you know what I mean? But it takes a long time to build that. Character is by making those decisions every single day of your life, like thousands and thousands of decisions that you're making every single day, and that's building your character. But then you don't know that if you don't know what your value is. You're kind of moving aimlessly, so you have to have an aim. So know what you want. What are your values? It's really important to know, like, hey, you know what, if you say what you mean and you mean what you say and you have integrity, it means that, look, that this is what I go by. I don't If you don't want to be late, don't be late. It means show up a little bit early, right? Like this, just not breaking those. Where do you find us? It's a TED Talk by Brene Brown, like Renee but with a B, Brene Brown. And you could type in TED listen to shame. So you could check that out. It's like a 20-minute talk, but it's just me breaking it down a little bit, to keep it shorter for us. But yeah, she's gonna have more details. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate you. I have a few more minutes, so I'm gonna finish this up, and then we're gonna end the show. All right. So here it is. Okay. Shame is correlated with all those, right? Addiction, depression, etc. Guilt is inversely correlated. The ability to hold something that we've done or failed to do up against who we want to be is incredibly adaptive. So what does that mean? It means it's a conscious choice. You have a choice to change, okay? So it's not like, oh, I'm a bad person, that's who I am. Like, no, absolutely not. You can change that. So it means it's a choice, right? Mitchell's height, I don't really have a choice. That's how short I am. It's okay though. And this is this is where I'm open to learning more about this, because she said shame is organized by gender. I want to know more about it, so I don't know a lot about it, and if you do, please share some information with me. But hear me out. Brene says shame feels the same for both men and women, but is organized by gender. And I was like, interesting. And this is back in 2012. She says for women, it's like, I gotta do it all. I gotta do it perfectly. Never let them see you sweat. And it's a shame for women if it's but it's a shame for a woman because it's unattainable. It's conflicting. It's competing expectations about who we're supposed to be. And that's shame. That's for you, right? That's shame for women. And shame for men is do not be perceived as weak. I'm still trying to grasp that a little bit because I just heard it recently. I started listening to this one recently, so I need to kind of dive deep a little bit more about it. So that's why I'm asking you guys, hey, if you guys know something, please share it to me too, because I would like to know maybe your understanding of it, right? But let's talk about shame and why shame is about yourself, right? And whereas guilt is about your behavior, what you did. The antidote to shame is empathy, right? So Brene Brown talked about a petri dish where if there's if there's shame in this petri dish, right? I think it's one of those little scientific things, science stuff. If you put in shame into this petri dish and you put empathy in it, it goes away. You put empathy in it, it goes away. Because shame cannot survive with empathy. But on the other hand, on the other side of the coin, I went and flipped the coin. How shame grows. Shame grows with secrecy, judgment, and silence. So in other words, you kind of like bottling things up. You keeping it a secret, in like you just having judgment, like or judgment from other people, right? So it's very interesting because if you go back to being vulnerable, right, over here, where you want to talk about vulnerability and having courage, you have to talk about shame first. I have to go. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you for stopping by. Always great to see you. But okay, okay. But I just thought this was really interesting. I want to learn a little bit more about it. But just having the understanding of what she's talking about with to find more the relationship between vulnerability and courage, we have to talk about shame and how we view ourselves. Basically, if we view ourselves, so it's really the story that you keep telling yourself, right? Because if you tell yourself one story saying like, oh, I'm nothing, I'm nobody, or I'm worth $1,000,000 on this other side, right? Like, what are you doing to move towards that? What are your values? What do you value? Right? It really boils down to the story that you consistently tell yourself. Because if you keep telling yourself lies, then you're only gonna believe in your own lies, which goes back to that quote by Fyodor Dostoevsky, right? Like you start believing your own lies, you're going to fall into this pit of not understanding anything and not understanding yourself, and so that you start acting like in ways like temporary fulfillment, right? Maybe going out drinking, maybe doing drugs or whatever, right? Like because you need that as an escape from reality, because you're too fearful to face it, because you don't trust yourself, because you haven't opened up to understand who you are, being vulnerable to who you should be, right? And so that's why being vulnerable, you might not have to be vulnerable to everybody, but at least be open and honest about it to yourself and listen to it. Listen to your own thoughts, right? That's why I always give that. And this is from Julian. Julian says, go stare at a wall. And when you stare at that wall, what is that wall telling you? What is your mind telling you? Is it telling you that you're a piece of shit, that you're not worthy of love? Like, what is it? And most of the time, that's how our thoughts operate, because that's our brain isn't designed to make us happy. It's designed to make us survive. So when it tells us to survive, it's going to tell us all these what ifs. Or what if you do that? There's always risk involved, right? But without risk, you're not going to move anywhere. So you have to be able to understand and dissect that, so that you let go of some of that resistance, so that you can start moving forward into this direction in life, right? Assuming that that's what you want. But today was a very kind of like, even though it's an hour long, right? You have to understand your vulnerability. Like, what are you, right? And understand like what do you truly value, and what do you want? What do you want in life? And start working towards those, right? Start working on those little steps at the way. But hope you guys do enjoy this live. This live is on You Can't Date Without Being Vulnerable. Because otherwise it's just like glorified masturbation, right? But yeah, if you guys do find this video content of value, you guys can show your appreciation. Any donations will be appreciated, or let your friends know. Like, let your friends know. That will mean much more to me if you let your friends know about it. Share it to them, right? Whoever that needs to hear this, because I feel like we're too stuck in our own ways. We're not really being honest with ourselves. So the more honest you can be, and more open to being judged, at least by yourself, start with that first, and you will, I promise you, you'll be in a much better place. Thank you, Shevlin. Topic is good today. Thank you. The plate, my where you throw a plate and break it. and you try to put it back together, you can't. It's the same with your words. Oh, what do you mean by that, Brittany? The plate method, where you throw a plate and break it, and you try to put it. It's the same with your words. Of course. I hope you guys do have like a great Saturday. You know, have fun, enjoy. It's getting warmer now, right? It was cold as hell earlier. I was eating noodles. But yeah, I might just hop on the other live for a little bit and see what's going on over there before my night out with some homies of mine. But yeah. I encourage you guys to, keep working on yourself, keep showing back up. I do these lives twice a week, and yeah, this for you, this for you. So yeah, any questions? Does anyone have any questions left? Can I answer anything before I go? Or I just go over there, right? I just do that. So yeah, I might just hop over there. I'm gonna hop over there. Yeah, I'm just gonna take this off first. But yeah, have a good day. I'll see you on the other show. All right, peace. Have a good weekend. I'll tell you on TikTok. All right, Brittany.